What is up, you guys? Brooke here, and it is round 19 of the Strike Back Videoathon, and I am going off topic once again. I am doing my own thing today because I just wanted to talk about what I'm wanting to talk about for a long time now. So if you're new to my channel, you should know that I really like audiobooks. I listen to a lot of audiobooks, and last year I read more audiobooks than I did actual physical books. So since I like audiobooks, I figured that I could go ahead and give kind of a pros and cons video for audiobooks in general. So I'm going to be listing a pro and then a con and then a pro and then a con again, kind of in that order where I go back and forth, just to kind of go ahead and list off some of the things I like about audiobooks and things I really don't like about audiobooks. So with that said, let's get started. So a really good pro for audiobooks is, of course, the easiness. The ease of being able to read while you're on the go or while you're doing chores around the house. It is so easy to go ahead and just kind of jump into this world that you are listening to rather than reading, because whenever you're reading a book, you have to very much, put aside some time. You have to be where nothing around you is going on, where that is your time. You are setting time aside to go ahead and read. Whereas while you are listening to audiobooks, you can do a lot of different things. You kind of get to multitask. So, I'll do laundry and read. I will clean my apartment and read, but without reading. So it's a nice deal. A con sometimes with audiobooks is that whenever you're in the middle of multitasking, if you're in the middle of doing chores and you have, let's say you have a dirty spot you need to clean up on the counter in the kitchen and you just can't get it. Why isn't it coming off? Oh my gosh, I'm using soft scrub and everything. And oh crap, what just happened? Someone died in the book and I didn't know because I was busy cleaning? Oh my gosh, I missed it. I have to go back. You kind of miss things every now and then whenever you are in the middle of something, or if you're even driving. Even if you're driving and reading an audiobook, it is hard to sometimes focus because whenever you're driving, your mind wanders. And so whenever your mind wanders while you are listening to an audiobook, you can miss some things, some good, valuable things. And sometimes that sucks whenever you have to go back every 10 or 30 seconds to try and be like, okay, now what just happened? Sometimes you just have to do that. A pro with audiobooks is I feel like I read so fast. Like, I'm not really a fast reader, and whenever I'm actually reading a physical book, I read speed-wise, I'm fine, but it's the amount of time that I put towards reading a week or a month. I just don't really actually sit down to read as much because I'm so busy doing writing, or I'm so busy doing YouTube and editing or shooting a video, or just wanting to chill and watch TV if you just kind of need to unwind in the day. And I do feel like with audiobooks that I'm able to go ahead and actually read the books I've been wanting to read, because I know it's just a lot easier to go about reading an audiobook, and I will go through it a lot faster than I can with normal books. A con with audiobooks is sometimes whenever you're reading a complicated book, especially reading a fantasy type book, because sometimes whenever you're going through explaining the world of what is going on in the book, it is sometimes hard to keep things focused and to keep things straight whenever you're listening rather than reading the words on a page. Sometimes it's just kind of like, okay, so what is this? What is this? What? I have to go back and rewind this. Sometimes it's just kind of harder to keep things straight of what's going on. Or sometimes I feel like I'll miss a couple things than I would actually reading a book. You know how, like, foreshadowing, let's say. You know how some authors will foreshadow what's to come? They'll say something here and then they'll foreshadow. Sometimes in an audiobook, you may miss a couple things here and there if you're in the middle of doing something. You may miss, here's a sentence that was said and you might not hear it properly, or you might not hear it and retain that info that you might need to know later on in the story. So I feel like that's kind of a con of not being able to maybe hear and retain information as well whenever you're listening to an audiobook. Pro with an audiobook is if you have a really good narrator. Having a good narrator will just make the book come alive. I first started getting into audiobooks with the Harry Potter series. I had never read the books growing up. I had just watched the movies. I had maybe read the first two books in physical form, but I hadn't read any others past that. So I just knew knew I wanted to go ahead and read the Harry Potter series. So I just felt like audiobook was gonna be my answer. It was gonna go ahead and let me go ahead and actually read the books without reading in physical form the books. Because I just feel like I have a harder time reading books that I've already seen the movies to, because I just feel like, why am I reading this? I know what's gonna happen. I know, believe me, I know there's a whole lot more in Harry Potter that they don't have in the movies, but that's just how I am. It's just harder for me to read a book that I've already seen the movie to. But I feel like with the Harry Potter audiobooks, I was actually able to kind of have that nitpicky thing of mine put aside, and I could go ahead and actually read the books. And having the narrator, who I listened to, was Jim Dale. Jim Dale as the narrator was freaking-tastic. He does all of the accents to the characters perfectly. I mean, whenever you hear him be Hagrid, I mean, he is so good as Hagrid. It sounds like Robbie Coltrane from the movies. It sounds like that is him. It sounds like he came in to just like read the parts of the book for Hagrid. I mean, it sounds so identical. Another con with audiobooks is a narrator, a bad narrator. A narrator can make or break a book. And I totally believe it, because right now I'm in the middle of rereading Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. And I loved the first book whenever I had read it in physical form. And I mean, I zipped through that really fast. And then I read the second book really fast for the most part. And I feel like reading those books were so good. Before I read the third one, I was wanting to go ahead and re-listen to the first and second book. And right now, I'm having such a hard time getting through the first book because the narrator is making the characters so unlikable for me. Especially Cale. I love Cale. He is like one of my favorite book boyfriends or whatever. And I feel like she is making him so unlikable. How she just makes his voice sound is just kind of almost robotic. It just is like, I'm a guy who's mad. Like, I just don't like how she's making him sound. And it's making me not like Selena either. I just don't like what's going on, and it's not making me push forward through listening with the rest. And it sucks because I was so excited to re-listen to everything, get back in this world, and it's making me not want to get back into this world now because of the narrator. If you have a narrator that sucks, it sucks. So those are a couple pros and cons of audiobooks. I'm sure there's definitely more pros and cons for listening to audiobooks in general, but those are a couple that I've thrown out there for you guys. Thank you all so much for watching today, and let me know what type of audiobooks have been your favorite. Go ahead and let me know down below, because I would love to see if there's any audiobooks that I need to go ahead and check out myself. Thank you all so much for stopping by today, and I will see you next time. Bye!